Sorry about that, y'all. So sorry about that. I had issues with the last streaming service that I was using. Um, it was acting really weird. Good morning, Miss Catherine. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I had to restart. That other streaming service was it was going to end after 1 hour. I wouldn't even be able to get to my cases on the True Crime Thursday. I thought I had found something new and cool, you know? I was like, oh, I'm going to share it with the people and it's going to be amazing. And I was like, yeah, this is not so amazing. So I found out the hard way. Good morning, Sweet Tea 713. I found out that that new streaming service was not as amazing, and so that was one that I would suggest nobody use unless you're willing to pay for it. I couldn't use any of my stuff, any of my intros, outros, nothing for free. So I would suggest y'all to really pay attention to that one. Okay, that one was a little crazy. I'm sorry about having to end that live the way I did. Y'all know that's not like me. So good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We were talking about in the other live before it went crazy and all this other stuff happened, what happened over there at Lemons. Okay. That situation, I said what I said in the last live. Um, I hope that, we're going to see what happens today, and how many people. Hey, good morning to D Ham Show. We know some people are upset at Lemon because of it. We know some people are indifferent. Um, some people say that Seven Stars held her own. Some people say that they ate her up. In my opinion, when it's 4-on-1, she did that thing, because I'm gonna tell you something. If that had been a fair fight and she hadn't have swung and done right, then that'd be different. But that was that was a jumping in my opinion. And when it should have just been, I wouldn't be standing up for the captain, but that's them. They can stand up for him all they want to, but I wouldn't be standing up for no man that don't take care of his children and don't do what he's supposed to do. Mhm. Okay, so this morning on True Crime Thursday, I did see that I was looking on, I didn't, I knew about the Alec Baldwin thing and everything, and the Lake and Riley thing starts Friday, so it hasn't started yet. Even though we went over it last week, um, it hasn't started yet. But there is one that I'm looking into right now. Is Georgia versus Chloe Driver. It's called the Cult Baby Murder Trial. Um, and then we have the H.I. versus Dixie Denise Villa Baby Medicine Manslaughter Trial. So we do have a few, and the woman who I told y'all, Tortellini Fields, the one who dismembered her mom and put her in the thing, she has pled not guilty. The trial has not come up yet for that, but when it does, we are going to be watching that one. Um, and the Georgia versus Jose Abera um, is facing life in prison without parole if convicted. We're going to be watching that court coverage. You know what I'm saying? So we do have some court cases coming up. Um, I'm going to make sure I go over the two that I've just have up today. If anybody has any, like I said, I did say to Miss the Miss O, hey, the cynical one. I did say to the Miss O that if yeah, that other one was I did try it though. I do try. I've been trying new streaming apparatuses for the sector to see which one's the best. So far, I will state that StreamYard and Restream are the best in my opinion. Um, I did kind of like UberMax, and I think if you upgraded UberMax, it might be better. It wasn't terrible. I will say that so far these two are the best of the. I've tried Restream, UberMax, Riverside FM. that one I tried today, plus StreamYard. So that's 5 so far that I've tested. So far, I will state between the two, it's going to be between this and StreamYard. Um, when it comes to easeability, when it comes to how it performs, how it works, all that good, lovely stuff. I am going to right now go to my scenes, and we're going to share screen, and we're going to start with the first case up on the docket today. I'm going to also change around the view of this right quick because I want to make um because they did change around stuff on here the other day when I noticed it, and I told y'all that they did change a little stuff. So let me change around the background right quick. We're gonna show it, and I'm gonna maximize this. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, and then I'm not going to do that right now because that's going to do it. But hold on. Let's make sure we got the volume turned up on everything. Make sure I'm not hidden. Y'all can hear me well. Okay, so we're going to start with the Chloe, the Georgia versus Chloe Driver case. Okay. Canton, Georgia. A Tennessee woman is standing trial in Georgia for the stabbing death of her 13-month-old daughter. Chloe Driver, 24, is facing multiple charges, including malice murder in the December 2020 death of her daughter, Hannah. While responding to a 911 call, police discovered Chloe and Hannah in a bedroom, both suffering from stab wounds, reported the Cherokee Tribune and Ledger News. An indictment accuses Chloe of stabbing Hannah in the neck multiple times with a knife. Chloe has pled not guilty by reason of insanity, stating in court documents the defendant was in the midst of a psychotic episode that included paranoia, delusional beliefs, hallucinations, and disordered thinking. According to her defense, Chloe was living a nomadic lifestyle. The defense said several witnesses could account for her mental health issues and subsequent deterioration in the weeks leading up to Hannah's death. In opening statements, prosecutors said Driver was one of 3 women married to Banham bin Mikhail, aka Brian Joyce, who lived a nomadic and religious polygamous lifestyle. Driver's defense said those beliefs, coupled with the mental illness, led Driver to psychosis that resulted in the death of her daughter. Chloe is standing trial on charges of murder, cruelty to children in the first degree, aggravated battery, and aggravated assault. They also put here just for help. If you or someone you know is in a mental health emergency, text HOME or 741-741 to contact the National Crisis Text line. If you or someone you know is having a maternal mental health crisis, know you are not alone and you can get help by visiting Postpartum Support International. On day child 2, a pediatric forensic pathologist told jurors that Hannah Nicole Driver succumbed to her injuries within minutes of being stabbed by her mother, Chloe Alexis Driver. Hannah suffered 4 stab wounds, 3 to her neck and 1 to her upper back. Jurors heard testimony from Jason Spillers, someone who knows and traveled with Chloe Driver. He described Driver as a sweet and loving mother, but would transition into delusional and psychotic episodes and struggled with mental illness often. Chloe Driver was in the hospital 10 days following the incident before she told medical professionals she suffered from delusions. Before then, Driver asked questions about how long will she serve in prison and refused to go to physical therapy to learn how to walk again because she will be sitting in a jail cell. Katie Groper, Deputy Chief Assistant District Attorney, delivers the state's opening statements on day one. Groper said that Chloe Driver is not a weak minded person and does not meet the standard of criminal insanity. Prosecutors told jurors that Chloe Driver was not mentally ill when she decided to murder her 13-month-old daughter, Hannah Nicole Driver. Defense attorney Angela Threthway delivers the opening statement on behalf of Chloe Driver. Driver's defense attorney says that she was indoctrinated into a polygamist ideology by her 38-year-old boyfriend, Brian Joyce, who also goes by the name of Benham Ben Michael and suffers years of abuse. Driver took a paring knife from a butcher block in the kitchen of the home and grabbed her daughter, locked themselves in an upstairs bedroom while she committed the heinous act of murdering her daughter. Chloe Driver has entered a plea of not guilty by reason of sanity during the time of the incident. So this is what we know so far. I'm going to play obviously, some of the videos like I usually always do so that, we get a good thought process of what's going on. So I'm going to go over here and we're going to play this video.
Okay. Any idea how long law enforcement was at that house after the initial call?
Long time, maybe up into the wee hours of the night.
Okay. You indicated when you got on scene that you instructed other personnel to separate the parties.
Mm-hmm.
Was that done?
Yes.
All right. And you mentioned sort of on-scene interviews and then taking people down to the station. What can you tell me about sort of how you navigated, who you talked to on scene, and where that happened?
So because it was so chaotic and we had certain people interviewing certain people, I went to the person who wasn't being interviewed first, spoke to that person, got general information, and then asked that they take that person back to the station. And then I tried for the next one, asked that they take that person back to the station. So they were taken pretty much separately in different cars, so that way I can interview them separately.
Okay. And who were the people that you made contact with on scene that were not law enforcement or responders to this, the people that were at the residence when it occurred?
Everybody that was on scene: Jerry, Jason, Benjamin, Sarah, Jessica.
Okay. And did you make contact and speak to those people, or other officers make contact and speak to those individuals separately while on scene?
They did.
Okay. And were they able to provide information about what they had witnessed or observed that day?
Absolutely. My officers came and told me specifically who they talked to. They had their information for me, even photo IDs that we can photocopy and things of that nature.
Okay. And then you mentioned that there were multiple people involved in transporting them to the police station. Where is Canton Police Department in relation to where this residence was?
Less than 10 minutes away.
All right. And what was the reason for transporting each of them in a separate vehicle?
I didn't want them talking or giving statements that can conflict or convolute what they saw, but also I wanted to have independent witnesses of each other.
Okay.
So that way I can get the true facts of the story.
Okay. Is that pretty routine in sort of investigating a crime like this, to try to separate people as quickly as possible?
Absolutely.
And who all went to Canton Police Department on that day to be interviewed by you?
Jerry.
The homeowner?
The homeowner, Jerry.
Okay.
Jason Spillers, Jessica, Sarah, and Benjamin.
Okay. So the two other wives, Benjamin, Jason Spillers, and Jerry?
Yes.
Okay. So the 5 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you interview each of them separately?
I did.
Right. And were they willing to speak to you about the circumstances surrounding Hannah's death?
They were.
Okay. How long were you there that evening interviewing all these parties?
Late.
Okay.
The next morning.
Did you collect anything, any evidence from any of those parties?
I did.
What did you collect?
I collected 2 cell phones.
Okay. Whose cell phones did you collect?
Benjamin's and Sarah's.
All right. And after you concluded those interviews, did you give them any instructions? Did they just leave? How did you leave things with the group?
So I did tell them that I was going to download their cell phones to still be in the general area if they wanted their cell phones back. I also told them that They could go back to the house, but they couldn't go in the crime scene in case we were still there collecting things, and not to take anything away from the crime scene.
Okay. Do you mean the room itself?
The
or-
house.
The house,
Mhm.
okay. And were, at that time when they left the police department, were officers still on scene processing?
They were.
Okay. And did you have any idea at that point how long they were gonna stay in Cherokee County?
I did not know.
Do you have any idea how long they did stay in Cherokee County?
I did not know.
Okay. Did you have any physical contact with any of these people after December the 8th of 2020?
Yes.
And when was that?
The very next day, I talked to Benjamin. I actually went to the hospital to speak to Chloe, and I put him on the phone, so I knew he was in the general area still. And then I spoke to Sarah again, and I believe I spoke Benjamin again.
Okay. And you indicated you told them to stay in the general vicinity so you could download their cell phones, and was that with the intention to return their cell phones to them once you downloaded them?
Correct.
And when did that happen?
Immediately. I went and took their cell phones right away, and I think they got them back probably within a day or two.
Okay. And when you say you took their cell phones, what did that look like?
So when you take their cell phones, actually you get a search warrant for them, and we have the Cherokee Sheriff's Office that has their own investigator that does all of their downloading. They use Cellbrite to download.
All right. At what point did you, on that day, learn that Hannah had died?
Pretty much right away. I was on scene. They told me maybe 30 minutes into it that she had passed away.
Did you make any death notifications on scene? Did you tell anyone?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I know Benjamin was informed, yes.
Okay. And at the time that you interviewed them, were all the parties aware that Hannah was deceased?
Yes.
Were there any other investigative steps you took that night other than interviewing all the parties, having the crime scene processed, collecting the cell phones?
I did get a search warrant to take photos and some blood for Chloe Driver, so I can get it the very next day.
Okay. And what was the purpose of, you said so you could get some blood?
It's a sample. We didn't know who the parents were because they were all married, so we didn't really know whose mom and whose dad. So we did take blood, or a sample, not a blood, but a sample of saliva from Benjamin, and then a sample from Chloe Driver.
Was that the purpose for proving parentage of Hannah?
That is correct.
Okay. And did you obtain a search warrant to get from Chloe Driver's body?
Yes.
And what was that for?
I wanted to get swabs off of her hands to see if she had DNA from Hannah on her hands.
All right. And where was Chloe Driver taken after she left 215 Mountain Vista?
Taken straight to Kennestone Hospital.
All right. And in terms of the law enforcement response to the hospital, once she was taken to the hospital, was there an officer at the hospital with her?
Yes. We had an officer sit on her 24/7.
Okay. And you mentioned that you got a search warrant. When did you first go to Kennestone Hospital to make contact with Ms. Driver?
12/9, which would have been the very next day.
The next day. Okay. And when you went to make contact with her at Kennestone Hospital, you indicated that you had a search warrant. What was sort of your intention in making contact with her on the 9th?
So my intention was just to get photos of her saliva, and also to get DNA off of her hands.
All right. And when you interacted with her on that date, was it recorded?
Yes, it was.
All right. And Your Honor, I was speaking with the defense based on our earlier discussions about the videos of Ms. Driver's interviews and the written annotations that have been added to them, I believe the parties are in agreement to stipulate to the admissibility of State's Exhibit 100, 101, and 102.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, you're admitted.
All right. When you went and made contact with Ms. Driver, was she capable of speaking verbally?
She was whispering, but
Okay.
not necessarily loudly speaking like I am today.
Okay, and why?
She had a slash in her throat.
Okay. Did she have a trach?
Yes,
Okay. And was she capable of giving written responses?
absolutely.
And did she give written responses?
She's the one who told me she wanted to write stuff down.
Okay. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Let me hand you State's Exhibit 103 and 104. Do you recognize these?
Yes, this is my handwriting on the top and her handwriting on her social security number, date of birth, and address, as well as her name. And then this is her statements.
Okay. And do these truly and accurately reflect in State's 104 the Miranda form you exercised on that day, and State's 103 her handwritten responses to your questions?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I tender States 103 and 104.
No objection.
You're admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to publish State's Exhibit 100.
All right.
And on what day did you indicate this was?
12/9.
12/9, okay.
Hey Chloe, my name is Detective Cruz, and I'm here because I have a search warrant, okay? But I'm here to collect kind of DNA sample of your inner cheek, a DNA sample of kind of your hands, and then take some pictures, and that's pretty much it. Okay? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and then see if you're okay to even answer anything. Because if you can't talk, I don't want to ask any questions, okay? So, do you know how many quarters are in a dollar? Good. Do you know where you are located today? Good. Do you know what day is today? Very good. And so I'm just here because I want to make sure that A, you're okay, and that B, I get stuff from your body to make sure that nobody is hurting you, okay? You have experienced some trauma, and so we want to make sure that you are taken care of, all right? And I'm going to leave this paperwork for you and my business card. And my business card will have my cell on it. If you need anything, that cell is on 24/7. Okay? You got that? Perfect. I'm going to leave this paperwork right here. You don't have to talk. You don't have to talk at all, okay? But we're not going to talk today, okay? And I'm going to visit you again tomorrow, okay? And I'm going to visit you the next day if you want me to. But I want to make sure that you're okay, okay? So let me put this here for you. And I'm going to leave you my business card. Okay? And then I'm going to take this out of here because we don't need this anymore, okay? Okay. Are you cold and feet cold a little bit? me on this hand if you can? Perfect. And stay like, just like that, because I'm gonna come on this side, okay? Thank you. What about this hand? That's perfect. You can put that one down, okay? Okay, right again. And do it now. So I wanted to tell you, I did talk to mom for you and dad. And they asked about you, and they want to see you. That's okay. If you want to see them, you can. If you don't want to see them, you don't have to. But they can't come into the hospital because this is a trauma unit. And so when they move you to a new unit, they may be able to visit, okay? So we will ask at that point if they can visit you, all right? Is that okay? But you don't have to if you don't want to, okay? Can I take pictures here? Okay? I'm going this side, okay? You're all closed up. How's your legs? Are they swollen? Are they okay? Can I take a look? Oh, you got compressions on. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna leave those on. Those are very good for you. You want a nurse? Want me to get a nurse? You sure? Can we talk tomorrow? I want to talk to you tomorrow though, okay? Because I feel like I want to give you everything, okay? And I haven't visited yet, so I can't tell you for sure, okay? So I want to make sure that you're okay first. She's at a different hospital, because this is not a baby hospital. Okay? Breathe, please. Thank you. I want you to breathe. Okay? I do not want to put up your blood pressure. It looks like it's going to go up. So, I'm going to have the nurse check. Just be on the safe side. Okay? Hold on. Her nurse, I just want to make sure that her blood pressure is not going up too high. Can you check that just for me? I just want to make sure that her blood pressure is okay and I'm not elevating it in any way.
I don't know what it has been, but she's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just, I was concerned
Yes.
because I'm like, I see it a little bit spiking and I'm like, I do not want to cause any spike in anything.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know anything about medical
It's
stuff.
okay. That's what we're here for.
Okay. I get scared too, just so you know. Okay.
We get scared of this stuff too.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I just want to make sure you're okay. That's it. And when I look at that and then it starts going up, I'm like, uh-oh. So, because you can't speak to me currently, is why I don't want to talk, okay? I want you to be able to say it. Well, if you can write stuff down, you want to write stuff down? Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Let me get something to write with, okay? Are you whining? You want to write? I don't understand. So, let me get something for you to write. I don't want you to talk, okay? Let me get something for you to write with. Okay, I have her write stuff. She wants to talk. Yes. How about that? That's a good enough. Good enough. These are all juveniles. This, yes, I have them in different languages, just so you know, yes. Okay. Yeah, I got all types of stuff, but nothing to do now. Alright, at least I got one. All that matters. Okay. And I think she has a book. A book. I think that's a little bit. I'm gonna see what she's doing on that. Alright. I've done something for you to write with, okay? Okay. Before you say anything to me, I want you to read your rights, okay? And I have to do this because our policy, state of Georgia, you have rights, all right? And everybody has rights. And I do not want you to not listen and hear them and then read them for yourself, okay? Here's your first right. You have the right to remain silent, okay? You don't have to speak to me, okay? Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law, all right? You have the right to talk to a lawyer or have them present during questioning. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed for you and any questioning if you wish, okay? You can decide at any time during this interview that you can exercise your rights and you can quit being answered with any questions, or you can quit me asking any questions or making any statements. You could just stop at any point and say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Is that okay? Fair enough? Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a thing for you today's date, which is 12/9. We are at Kennestone Hospital. Okay, the time is 15:59. And I'm going to put mine. Okay? And Kim, I'm going to have you witness her signing this, okay? I'm going to sign here. Okay. You're going to put your name here, how old you are, your date of birth, your address where you live. If you don't have an address, don't put one. You're going to read each right and then put your initials.
For those just coming in, this is the Georgia versus Chloe Driver, day 3 of her trial. While they're updating and whatnot, I have that paused. We're also going to look at you know uh, some of the other videos of situations that's went on. Um, with this situation, she basically stabbed the baby and then slit her own throat, right? And so that's why she was in the hospital. We're going to right quick watch some of these videos that were previous day trial things. So we're going to, let me pause this because it automatically started playing when I clicked on it, and I don't want to miss anything. And we're going to watch an update on this trial because this one seems to be a very touchy one, and we're going to watch what they say here.
At the time where she says she stabbed her daughter multiple times in Georgia, where a woman is standing trial for the death of her 13-month-old daughter. Defendant Chloe Driver was 20 years old at the time where she says she stabbed her daughter Hannah multiple times to death, but she's pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, stating in court documents that she was in the mid-psychotic episode at the time. This was all due to, she says, a polygamous cult that she was a member of.
That's right. Now we have a friend on the stand. Now he's in jail, so he has orange on his clothing is orange rather. And remember, this is direct examination by the state, but we're struggling figuring out exactly what the state thinks this offers for their case to prove her guilty. Let's go back in to hear more direct examination from Jason Spillers.
Who have these incredible abilities to give us information that is perhaps unperceivable by a mind. What we're talking about is frequency and bandwidth. So with some of the things that I saw and heard Kawani say to be delusion, yes, but I also in her like deranged mental state see like it's like, so what is delusion? Like what, like these questions, it's like, yeah, she was outside of her mind blabbering about complete nonsense sometimes.
Okay, so tell me,
when she would come back.
Let's be specific. What was the complete nonsense she was blabbering about?
Gosh, I can't even remember specific things. But there's also like, okay, so we have to really dissect the mind here to understand, because there was an event that happened on November 25th. Which involved a woman who pulled off on the side of the road. Kawani was having an episode, I guess you could say. And this woman pulled off on the side of the road.
All right, let me stop you for a second. What do you mean by episode? What did you observe? What did she say?
Okay, so we'll begin there to come back around to what I was saying.
Okay.
Because it was only after that day that I heard Kawani mention at all the safety of the child.
Okay.
And that was on November 25th. And
Of
it was
2020?
and it was because of this woman who had this psychotic, drunk woman who was on drugs and was threatening us with gun violence.
Let me back up. On November 25th of 2020, where were you guys at?
We were at Peggy's house.
In what state?
North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina.
Who's Peggy?
Peggy is, who is Peggy? Peggy Schindler is someone that I've known for like 20 years. Friend of mine.
Okay.
Yep. I used to work with Peggy's daughter at this sports bar called Hickory Tavern.
Okay.
And
We don't need to get into the weeds. I'm
Yep.
just trying to provide
Yep.
them some context of who Peggy is.
Peggy's a friend of mine for 20 years.
All right.
Yep.
So Peggy's got a house in North Carolina.
Yep,
You
sure
all
does.
were spending time at Peggy's house.
That's right.
Who was there?
Me, Shaylig, Peggy, Z, and Nimsy.
Okay. And how long did y'all spend at Peggy's house around
That
time?
day?
That day?
No. We were around Peggy's house a lot.
Okay. You specifically referenced November 25th. Why do you know that date?
Because that was the day that this woman pulled off on the side of the road, and I feel like I think that was like a real turning point for Kawani, which had massive effects on her psyche, which led to the death of Nimsy.
Okay. So tell me, on November 25th, you were talking about this woman, which we'll get into that in a minute. Prior to this woman being involved, what were you observing of Kawani on the 25th?
On that day?
Yes.
Okay, so it was actually a pretty normal day. Like, she was being relatively calm and clearer, and like you could tell, like I could always tell it in her eyes when she would like, she'd be in a certain place, and then that something would trigger her, and she would just lose it. Like, I mean, like her eyes would change, and she would come back, and she would not remember what happened. And
What do you mean she would lose it? What would she do?
gosh, all kinds of things. So this day, she was in, and she'll start shaking and like, you know, attacking Z and attacking the other girls, and she's tried to attack me before, and never the baby though. That needs to be clear. Never the baby. And and I don't think Z would have either. Like they, so we were at Peggy's, and she starts like, and then she just runs out the door, like for no reason, like no clear and definable reason whatsoever.
So I want to know, what did you see? You saw her shaking.
Or just being like, it's like, she's just being like, she would get this look in her eye, like she like was absent, you know?
So she had an absent look in her eye and she was shaking. Did she say anything?
She'll like scream, and she's like, I have to go, I have to get out of here. And she'd like start screaming, and we're like, Z's like, honey, calm down, you know, like Z was like constantly working so diligently with her and being so patient and kind, and working with her, because you know she would come back from these episodes and she'd start crying, and she'd be like, I don't know where I am, like what's happening, you know, and she would just like completely like lose her mind. I don't know how else to describe it. This day she just took off running, and we're on Overlook Drive, which is a really dangerous road, because there's been people killed on that road before, literally, and pets, all kinds, you know, it's like there have been major accidents. People fly on that road, and it's known that people go really fast through there. And so Z was like, I was probably in a little better shape than Z, probably a little faster on my feet at the time. He asked me to go run her down and cut her off and try to get her to like come back, you know, not that like we're trying to like, you know, we're just trying to make sure she doesn't hurt herself, you know. And
what made you think she was going to hurt herself?
because she's running in the middle of a road.
Okay.
Like, I mean, she's like running like a crazy person down the middle of the road for no specific reason that she made clear, that she just had to go suddenly at that point. And she made no specific reason clear why she was doing that. She made no specific, like, she wasn't trying to go anywhere. She had no real purpose, you know. She's just like, you know, an endangerment to herself and to others. You know, like she's running down the road just like
in traffic?
In traffic.
Okay.
Belligerently. And
Okay.
so I'm like, okay, yeah, we probably should like try to get her back. And so I ran down and I cut her off, and she ran back towards Peggy's house in the middle of the road now. And I'm like trying to avoid cars, and like their cars are stopping, and like she's just like running. And she finally like tired out and sat, and then she was sitting on the side of the road, collapsed, crying. And Z asked me to pick her up and carry her back across the street to our house.
You said she was
So,
sitting?
She was sitting like almost like on the side of the road, pretty much. And the shoulder is like very narrow on that road, so we're in the road.
Okay.
You know, like towards the white line.
All right. And did she articulate anything at that time?
No, she wasn't articulating anything. She was just like crying and sobbing, like just
Okay.
like incomprehensible jargon of like blabbering about, you know, like non-tangible things. I don't even know. I wasn't even really listening to her at that point. I was just kind
When
of
you
like,
say non-tangible, was I'm trying to get at, was she paranoid about something specific? Was
No.
she delusional about
I mean,
something
not that
specific?
day. Not
Okay.
that day, no.
All
She
right.
wasn't.
She was shaking.
She was just,
You said she had some kind of look in her eye.
yeah, the look, you know, the look that she would get when she would be like absent of herself.
Okay.
And like, you know, it's like, and then you ask her about it later, and like, she's like, I don't really even remember some of these things, you know? Like,
Okay.
she's like having a complete break in her like ability to perceive reality, basically.
Okay. And when you first saw her behave that way was when?
When I first saw her behave that way, it was in September. She was not like that in May.
September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Kalani has, you know, she's admitted to me a lot about her past, which had led her to have like a really some psychological unwellness anyway. Being like, this is her words to me. Like, we have talked about this as a group, that she was raped by her brothers when she was like 9 years old. That she had an older brother drug dealer who sold cocaine, and she was doing cocaine regularly by the time she was 9 or 10 years old. Forced to have sex with her older brother's friends when she was like 10, 11 years old. She talks about how her parents abused her, how she went to her second grade teacher and told her teacher that her parents were locking her in the closet and abusing her.
These are discussions she had with you about her mental well-being?
Her past.
Okay.
Which I think...
Was that in relation to sort of her...
Yeah, totally. I think
mental and emotional health?
I think it was the foundation of her breakdown. The foundation of her breakdown and the mental unwellness began in her childhood, not like when she was like, 20 years old. Like, these seeds were already sown by the people that cared for her. And, I remember her saying things like, yeah, my brother's penises were really small, so it wasn't that bad being raped by them. Like things like that. She would give details about these circumstances, details about being locked in a closet by her parents.
Okay.
This is really difficult testimony, and clearly difficult for the defendant there, who is hearing from this person who, I want to remind our viewers, in the opening statements, the defense attorneys say that when Chloe tried to leave this group, that it's Jason Spillers, along with the father of her child, that dragged her down, chased her, and made her get back in the car. He's describing it in a much different way. We've got to get to a break, but we'll have more after this.
Tonight in closing arguments, a mother faces a jury for allegedly killing her own daughter. We'll break down today's biggest moments in the Colt baby murder trial.
Closing arguments with Vinny Politan.
Trial for defendant Chloe Driver. This is over an incident that happened back in December of 2020. Officers say they found both the mother, Chloe, and baby Hannah, 3 months old, upstairs in a bedroom, both suffering from stab wounds.
And when we get back into court now, we're listening to testimony from a friend of the defendant and of her husband, the father of Hannah. Let's get back into here more from Jason Spillers.
So I think that the psychological unwellness and the foundation of mental instability, like, she was already, these were demons that were planted in her a long time ago.
Let me ask you, did you ever see anyone in the group or yourself be physically violent toward her?
No. And now I did carry her across that street. That's the only time I ever touched Kawani. Was that one time carrying her across the street to get her out of the road so we don't get hit by a car.
Okay.
That was the only time. Now, I saw Kawani be violent towards everybody in the group. I saw her be aggressive, but not when it would be like a total snap like this. And so, do you want to finish because I'd like to tell about another day,
Sure. Well, let's, I asked you when the first time is that you kind of saw her exhibiting any behaviors, and you said September of 2020.
Yes.
And then you had referenced specifically November 25th as being, in your mind, some pivotal date that...
It was a hugely pivotal date.
...changed things.
From my observation of her.
Okay.
Yes. And the things that she was saying, like that woman, there was a woman who pulled off on the side of the road to kind of make whatever was happening there her business. She was drunk, belligerent, she assaulted me and Peggy and C. This was like a very disturbed woman. And she...
Is this when you're carrying Chloe?
No. I was carrying her across the road, and a woman who lived in the apartment complex was pulling out at the time. And she was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, she's just having a panic attack. I'm going to carry her back to the house to get her out of the road so no one gets hurt. And the woman who lived in the apartment complex where we were said, she said, I see, and if you need any help, if you need anything, just let me know. Okay? So that was the woman who lived there. Now, this woman who pulled in off the side of the road was just some stranger, who she pulled off on the side of the road, and Kawani ran over to her car and was like, I need to call my mom. That's what she started saying then. Like, that's just like a random thing. She hadn't talked about calling her mom at all. Like, that's just something that came out of her, just like some random thought or memory or whatever it was that was like just random that day after this after she decided that she needed to run in the middle of the street, we got her back over to the house, and this random, complete stranger pulled inside this apartment complex to make this her business, like I say, rudely and belligerently. And Kawani started going to her and saying, "I need to call my mom."
Okay.
And so...
Had she asked to call her mom up until that point?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, this was just like something that just started coming out of her. It's like, you know, she's just like, all of a sudden, she's just like, "I need to call my mom. I need to call my mom." You know, she's like saying this. And me and C and Shaylee and Peggy are all standing around. Shaylee's holding the baby. We're all like, "Let her call her mom."
Okay. And did
Let her
she?
call her mom. No, she didn't, because this woman started being belligerent and jumping out of the car, and Kawani started to come back into herself. You could see it in her eyes that she realized that this woman was a danger to her, and the woman started screaming how we're all going to jail, and she's going to call the cops and get the baby taken from her, and all of these things. Like, I mean, these completely just this belligerence, you know, like.
So this was a passerby that intervened when she saw you with Chloe,
That's
with
right.
Kawani.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what happened after that?
Gosh, a whole scene happened after that. She started being verbally abusive to everyone.
Who's she? Who are you referring to?
This woman named Sandra Torres.
That's the woman that stopped?
That's the woman that stopped.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was like threatening us. Like, she threatened, "I have a gun in my car right now, but, you know, I'll shoot you and kill you," and all this stuff. Her breath, was rank of alcohol, you know. So she's just this random drunk lady who apparently had a gun, and was, there's like this whole scene that unfolded. And I think that it's the most important thing to take away from that day, and why I mentioned it, is because after that day, after she was screaming at Kawani and Z that she's going to get the baby taken away, so she pulls over on the side of the road, and like her story is to be like this vigilante to help this woman who's being kidnapped and blah blah blah. She gets across the road. This woman who's sitting right there was screaming about how she wanted to call her mom. All of the other individuals said, "Let her call her mom." Simple. Let her call her mom. No one's objecting to this.
So that was witness testimony from one of the cult members, pretty much. So what we're learning is that this lady was in a cult, and that she had tried to run away and wanted to call her mom, and was going through psychotic breaks, and you know, it's situational. The question with this situation, in my opinion, is whether or not the cult is the reason for her psychosis. What was going on in that cult? Did they test her for drugs? Like, what's going to come out during this trial? You know, hey, the Miss O, congratulations again on your graduation. Beautiful. So we're going to watch testimony over here. It's another part of the trial date. We're on day 3 right now of this trial. So this is another section, and this right here is testimony of a friend saying there was blood everywhere and all this other stuff. So we're going to watch this part right quick. We're trying to go over all the evidence so far in this case. The Miss O Beautiful, if you have a specific case that you have in mind, that you may have seen, you know, I told you for your graduation that you get to choose. You can let me know what trial it is that you may or may not want to see or talk about, or, you know, also if you want to do like a thing on your live, just let me know, because, you know, I'm supportive. And we're gonna watch this right quick.
To the Georgia murder trial for Chloe Driver. Prosecutors say that she stabbed her 13-month-old daughter to death in 2020, but Driver has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Still on the stand is Jason Spillers, a friend of the defendant. Let's go back into the courtroom for more of his testimony.
We heard it scream
You
This is how I
previously-
remember. Maybe Jerry wasn't standing outside. I feel like these details are probably more or less irrelevant, but at one point Jerry was standing outside. I don't know if Jerry was still in the garage right there at the house when I heard Z scream, but Gami and I definitely were. And I told her to call the cops, to call 911 because something was definitely wrong. Like, I had no idea what happened, but it was a scream of pain and like something like bad, you know, like.
You previously testified that you're not a call the cop kind of guy, and you're
No.
obviously sitting here wearing orange.
That's
so, tell me what about what you heard made your first instinct be call 911?
You know, I can't really remember. I don't remember. I just remember hearing the scream, and perhaps like I can't even remember what happened in between there. It's like it's been so long. It's like I don't know exactly what the sequence of events was, but something compelled me. I said, Gami, you need to call 911 right now. And she did.
Okay.
And I ran inside, and then I ran upstairs because that's where the scream was coming from. And then I walked into this like really horrible thing.
Okay, what happened when you walked into the room?
I walked into the room and there was blood everywhere. And Z was, I'm gonna talk through this one. Z was trying to get Nimsi like mouth to mouth. Like, she had obviously had some laceration wounds to her neck, and there was like blood everywhere. And Kawani was laying on the ground, and she had tried to kill herself by stabbing herself in the chest and in the throat, and she was bleeding profusely. And so I was just went into shock, basically. Like, I have very little or no experience, especially with a child. Like, I mean, I've witnessed a couple things, but not like this. And so Z's like giving his daughter mouth to mouth, trying to like breathe some life back into her, and she's like gurgling her last breath, and Kawani's laying on the floor bleeding profusely.
Was Nimsi still alive when you went into the room?
She was on her way out.
Okay.
Like, I mean, she was gurgling, but she wasn't moving, and she looked very not alive.
Okay. And tell me about your interaction with Kawani, sorry.
I went to the ground, and Z said, keep pressure on the wounds. And so I did. I went down and I kept pressure on the wounds, and I tried to just stop them from bleeding. I was using my sweatshirt and my hands to put pressure on the wound that was on her chest and her neck until the paramedics got there.
Okay. And how was Kawani reacting to you? Was she saying anything or doing anything?
She was saying that she wanted to see Nimsi one more time, and she was actually trying to push me away. She was, you know what? Earlier I said there was only one time when I touched Kawani, but that was the second time, when I was trying to save her life. I was holding pressure on the wound. She had blood all over her hands, and she was pushing my face away, telling me, stop, I'm supposed to die. And I wanted to see, and then she was like trying to lean up to see Nimsi one more time, but I held her down because I thought that, you know, I just didn't want her to lose any more blood, because there was blood everywhere and all over me and all over our clothes and all over the floor and the bed. It was like a massacre. And I just wanted to try to save her life. So I held her down and kept pressure on the wounds for probably about 2 minutes, because the paramedics came really fast.
Okay. So she told you to stop. She tried to push you away.
Yeah.
She said, I'm supposed to die, and that she wanted to see Nimsi one last time.
Yes.
Is that what you recall?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that you were attempting to save her life, and that he was attempting to save Hannah's life.
Yeah, he was.
Did you care about Kawani and Hannah?
Of course.
Do you still care about them?
Yes.
Okay. And after this happened, did you maintain a relationship with Kawani?
Actually, yeah.
After she was arrested, did you all continue to communicate with her?
Yeah, she called from inside jail a lot.
Okay.
And we had a chance to speak a couple times. Yeah.
Okay. And Do you know for how long she maintained a relationship with you and Z and the other women after she was arrested for murdering Hannah?
Gosh, I can't remember. I have no idea.
Okay.
A while, more than a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you a part of some of those phone conversations?
I was, yeah.
And what was the tone of those phone conversations?
Pretty, like, mellow, really. Like, just, pretty, just, you know, she's in jail, and we were talking to her and just reminding her that we love her, and that even though this was, like, a horrible thing, and we forgive her, and we know that that wasn't her that did that. And we still love her and care about her, and we forgive her for that, because we know that she would never do that.
And did she continue to express love for all of you?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And have you maintained contact and stayed in contact with Z?
Yeah.
Okay. And have y'all discussed that, you know, you still care about Kuwani and you don't want anything bad to happen to her?
That's right.
Okay. And have you discussed that it is your desire that she go to a mental hospital and not be in state custody?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to that, I feel like my opinion is that this woman has suffered enough, you know, with all of her, you know, I can't imagine having to deal with knowing that something that you lost control of your own mind to the point where you know, killed your own daughter. Like, women don't kill their babies. Like, that's really rare, you know? And when you do see it, it's usually a case of, like, the child is unwanted. You know, that's not what this was. This was not an unwanted child. This was some kind of deep thing being expressed through Kuwani that started, like I say, the trauma that fractured her, I think, began when she was a child. And Z did what he could to help her with that, and so did all of us, and it ended up being this really horrific thing. And I do think that basically, like, I know that, I mean, I just don't think that prison is the place for her. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think that she's gonna, I think that she's just gonna degrade, and these prisons are horrible, you know, and they're just like.
Have you stated previously that you think she suffered enough and that you all believe she needs to be free in society?
I mean, that's a question mark. Like, free in society, I think that she should be, I think that it should be acknowledged that in the term of what we'll call, you know, not guilty due to insanity. It's like you hear about people using this as a cop-out plea, and this is actually like one real one,
okay.
You know? And
we've discussed that you don't know what the law in Georgia is, right?
I do.
All right, still with us, criminal defense attorney Herrera and deputy public defender Philip Dubé. All right, guys, we're hearing the testimony from Jason on the stand talking about the moments, the little baby Hannah, they found her dead, and what was going on there, the defendant trying to take her own life as well. Hard to listen to because, of course, this beautiful little baby here, and now that baby is deceased. Philip, okay, that was direct examination. What are you taking? What are you taking away? Because he is saying, we know that wasn't her who did this. This was not a mother who didn't love her baby.
No, what he's saying is that she was in a condition where she could not tell right from wrong. Anybody who is in their right mind, who is not non-compos mentis, would never harm their own baby, let alone themselves. And the fact that she tried to kill the baby and herself tells you that there is some type of undetected, undiagnosed mental defect. The question for the jury is going to be, though, was she able to discern right from wrong at that time? Or was she acting under some type of delusional compulsion that overcame her free will? She only has to show that by a preponderance. The burden then shifts to the prosecution to prove the opposite beyond a reasonable doubt. Same prosecution mental illness, was it involuntary?
in a way a biased witness because he's her friend. He still loves her. He still cares about her, and he really believes she's not responsible for what she did, and she doesn't deserve to go to prison. She deserves mental health help, and she deserves to be convicted, by reason of insanity and go to a mental hospital until such a time when they deem her safe to society. So he does show that with his answer that he's a biased witness, so maybe don't listen to him. He's only trying to make her look bad because
We got to get in a break, guys. I love hearing.
So that's another more from that witness. Basically, we're listening right now for everybody that's coming in. Good morning, Jay Dunn. Good morning. Good morning. We're talking about the Chloe Driver versus Georgia trial right now, where she basically was in this cult, right? And he's a part of the cult, the witness that we're hearing from right now. And she stabbed her baby and tried to unalive herself. The baby passed away on the scene, obviously, she actually made it through it. She didn't want to, but we're listening to the witness that is her friend, supposedly, that's within this. And so we're going to listen to this next video from this, and then we're going to go back to trial day 3, which is today. This is what we've learned from trial, from trial day 2. This is some of the, the testimonies that they heard on trial day 2. So we're right now going over the Georgia versus Chloe Driver. Then we have the next case that we're going to go over is the Dixie Denise Villa, which is the baby medicine manslaughter trial from Honolulu. It's Hawaii versus Dixie Denise Villa. So right now we're listening to the Georgia versus Chloe Driver case. I don't know if any of y'all have been following it, but it's the case that is, it happened back in I think it was 2020 or 2022. She's just now going on trial because obviously she had to heal in order to be able to stand trial. So we're going to watch this right quick from more of the witness testimony.
Court TV Live, I'm Julia Janae, and we are going back into a Georgia courtroom where a woman is standing trial for the death of her 13-month-old daughter, Hannah. Defendant Chloe Driver is accused of stabbing her daughter, Hannah, multiple times with a knife in the neck. We just heard from the ER doctor about those injuries. Mother, who was there inside of the courtroom, was pleaded not guilty because she says she was insane at the time, stating in court documents that she was in the midst of a psychotic episode at the time. Who we're going to hear from now could go towards this defense of this woman being influenced by this polygamous group that she had been with since she was a teenager. It's another man who was in this group, not the father of her child, not the one that she was married to along with 2 other women, but another man who was in that group. His name is Jason Spillers. Let's listen.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I promise that I will be honest with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have some opposition to swearing? Is that
Yes,
your
I do.
concern?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you affirm, be honest, and tell the truth today?
I just told you that I would be, and I will be. I will be completely honest and transparent in regards to the matter of which we're here today.
Okay.
And my experience with this circumstance.
Okay, great. And can you state your full name?
Jason Allen Spillers.
All right. How old are you, Mr. Spillers?
36.
All right. And you're wearing orange.
Yeah.
Are you in custody at this time?
Not in Cherokee County.
Okay. Do you have pending charges somewhere else?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And does it have anything to do with these?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And the only reason I'm asking that is, have we made any kind of deals with you or discussed your charges with you in any way?
Actually, you made it very clear that you're uninterested in the charges that I have because it has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm not going to ask you anything else about that. So I want to know how you know Benjamin Ben Michael.
I call him Z.
Okay.
And I call Chloe Alexis Driver Kawani. Those are the names of which they were introduced to me as.
Okay.
So just to relieve confusion for the court and for the jury, these are the names that I still call these people by.
Okay.
So I just want to make that very clear so there's no confusion. And maybe I just want to make that very clear. So I met Z in April of 2020 through an associate. And we met because of an interest in trust law and using trust to legally incorporate yourself to minimize risk of obstruction by the government, like in the forms of taxes and being able to hold your properties and assets in a trust and making them safer. And there's a whole lot to that. So, I mean, how much would you like for me to talk about that? That's just the nature of how I met him.
Okay, and that's great. And I'll just keep asking small questions till we get to all the information that we need.
Sure.
You said that you had the interest in the trust law, but how did you actually come to know him? How did you forge that connection? Did you meet him somewhere in particular?
What do you mean? Like
how did you come to know he exists?
Through Peggy Schindler.
Okay, so you met him through a mutual contact?
A mutual friend.
Okay.
Yes. I saw Peggy in Whole Foods.
Okay.
And she was telling me about the trust.
Okay.
But she perhaps doesn't have the vernacular or the capacity to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Z does. So I spoke with Z, and and then Peggy gave me the trust, and I began a relationship with Z from there.
Okay, and you said that was April of 2020?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and so going forward for the rest of this questioning, I'm going to refer to Benjamin as Z.
That'd be great.
Okay,
to avoid confusion for everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
Chloe will refer to as Kuwani?
Kuwani, yes.
That's how you
spell that, please.
Kuwani, K-U''A''N''I.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is that how you were introduced to them?
Yes.
Okay, and is that how you knew them through the entirety of your relationship and still
Yes.
with them? Okay. So in April of 2020, when you met Z,
Yes.
Was that an in-person meeting when you first encountered him?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, and where physically were you?
In a park. We met in a park in South Asheville.
Okay, in North Carolina?
In North Carolina, yes.
Okay. Was he living there or staying there at that time?
Yeah, he was staying with Peggy.
Okay, and when you met him, did you become aware of his relationship status?
Yeah.
Okay, and what did you learn about his relationship status?
That he has 4 wives, actually.
Okay.
And that he practices polygamy.
Okay.
Is that the question? Is that the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Sure.
At that time, were you in a relationship?
Yes, I was.
And did you exercise any type of polygamy?
No.
Okay. And so when you initially met him, did you come to know his wives?
Not initially, but we did later. I believe I met Kuwani briefly in May, but we really spent some time together in late May.
Okay.
When I went down to Florida to visit them with the girl that I was with at the time.
Okay, so you had a girlfriend at the time?
So we can call her my girlfriend, but she was living with me, and I mean, I guess you could say I have always believed in plurality as well, that men should have multiple women, but I was never in a committed. I was with Jen. She lived with me, and I took care of her. I provided her. She didn't work, so I provided her with food and shelter and safety and companionship and love. But it was never in our agreement that I wasn't allowed to see other women.
Okay.
So.
And as it relates to Z and his relationship, who were his wives that you came to know?
So their given names on their birth certificates would be Chloe Alexis Driver, Jessica Lee Kafijian, and Sarah Stiles.
Okay.
But those women will be referred to as Kuwani and Anna, Gamliana, and Shaylig, respectively, because those are their chosen Hebrew names.
Okay. Tell me about Jessica. You said, what does she go by as her chosen name?
Gamliana.
Gamliana?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
Gamiliana, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
Gamliana, yes.
And you all called her Gami?
Gami or Anna, she prefers now.
Okay.
Because she says that people have a hard time pronouncing Gami and they question her, so she goes by Anna now.
Gami or Anna? Okay.
Yes.
And is that a decision that she made to change that from Gami to Anna?
Yes.
Okay. Because
like I said, she says that when she introduces herself as Gami, people say, what? God. And so she just goes by Anna now.
Okay. And then Sarah is the legal name.
Shaylig.
Shaylig?
Shaylig.
How do you spell it?
Sheilig. It's a Hebrew word.
Shaylig?
Shaylig. It's a Hebrew word, yes.
All right. So, when did you meet Kuwani, Gami, and Shaylig?
Like I say, I think I actually met Kuwani and Gami in May before they left, like briefly at Peggy's house.
Before they left North Carolina?
They left North Carolina to go to Florida, but I can't remember. It seems like I did. So you're asking me, this is like 5 years ago almost. So, whether I met them before I went to Florida, I can't remember. It feels like I did, but that's kind of irrelevant because we went to Florida. Jennifer and I, this girl that I was with at the time, we went to Florida to visit them and stay with them.
All right. Do you know when that was that you went to Florida to visit and stay with Z? And
It was after Kwani's birthday, which is the 18th.
Okay. Tell me when Kwani's birthday is. 18th of what?
May.
Okay. So after May 18th of 2020, you and Michelle?
Jennifer.
Sorry, Jennifer.
Yes.
You and Jennifer went to Florida.
Yes, we did.
And did you stay with Z and Gami?
No, we stayed in our van.
You stayed in your van, okay.
Yeah, but we spent all of our time with them though. Like they were staying in a motel at the time.
Okay.
In Nokomis Beach.
Where?
Nokomis Beach, Florida.
Where's that?
It's by Venice. It's like south of Sarasota.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that when you first met them, they were in North Carolina, and then they went to Florida. That they were staying in hotels. For the duration of your relationship with them, was that routine for them to kind of move around or travel or stay in different places?
Yeah, they were moving around a lot at the time.
Okay.
From what I understood, but they had been in. I can't recall what they were doing before that, but they stayed in Florida and then they went to Connecticut and they would stay in different places for like months at a time. I know that they stayed in Florida for months. After we left Florida, they stayed there for at least another month, I think.
Okay.
And they would stay in one place, like a singular location for a few months, and then they would go to the next location wherever they decided to go. I know that Kwani and Z had been in Myrtle Beach together for a pretty extended amount of time in Virginia Beach. That's where they met Gamliana. So they stayed in these places for extended periods of time.
Okay. So you're aware of Florida, North Carolina, Connecticut, Virginia?
Yes.
Anywhere else?
Gosh, I don't know.
Did they ever spend time in Tennessee?
I don't think any extended time. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
So.
And so you indicated sometime in May of 2020 you went down to Florida and spent a lot of time with them?
Yes.
Okay.
We spent a week down there.
A week?
Yeah.
Was that the first time you saw Benjamin with all three of the women?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you first met him and learned that he had 3 wives, sort of what was your thought process on that arrangement or situation?
I thought that was really interesting because, usually you only see that with religious cults like Mormonism. Even though, scripturally, even, old Jewish and Christian tradition promotes plurality. Like it's promoted in scripture that men have multiple wives, like it's written about all through the Bible.
So clear there from Jason Spiller's testimony. He doesn't see himself as being in a religious cult or a cult of any kind. Let's bring back in trial attorney Krista Ramey. Krista, he's someone who clearly behind bars on an offense. We were able to look up in his background that he's got an assault on a female charge from this year and some communicating threats ones in past years. So that may be what his current incarceration is for. How do you think he's coming across so far? And what we've heard up until this point, we know there's more ahead, but up until this point, is it showing what the defense wants about this group that the defendant is going to be saying or sharing was abusive and coercive?
Well, yes, interesting. I wrote down that Jason Spiller seems nice and honest. That's what I wrote down when I was taking notes as he was testifying. He actually comes across as a really likable guy. And to learn, Julia, that he's, incarcerated for assault a woman, I'm like, oh God, that doesn't strike me as to what I'm watching on the stand as he's testifying. So he's coming across very nice and normal, like someone that you would interact with and not be, think that he was odd or off in any way or part of some kind of bizarre cult. So, to your question, how is this helping, the defense's theory of the case? I'm not sure. That does, in Georgia, it's not, you have to show that you don't know right from wrong. So being in a cult or being a little crazy just isn't going to get you over that finish line on a defense for insanity here. So, let's see what he has to say. But right now, I don't know that he has helped the defense any, and he certainly probably is helping the prosecution.
Yeah, he does come across in a way that is engaging. It's hard to look away when he's speaking about what you can tell he's very proud of, the lifestyle that he has with other people. Let's get to a break. We'll get to more of that testimony from someone who knows the defendant from around the time.
Close, I came up here and had a party.
It's gonna get out of my head. I couldn't stop. Which do you think you are?
December of 2020, officers say they found both Hannah and Chloe in an upstairs bedroom, both suffering from stab wounds. The defense says she's not guilty due to reason of insanity. This is a presumed attempted murder-suicide. Let's head back into the courtroom now. We're listening to testimony from an acquaintance of the defendant, Jason Spillers.
You don't really see it that much anymore, perhaps in Mormonism only. And I had spoken with Z extensively about what was happening with his wives in this situation, and I found it pretty interesting because he was providing care, all of the things that a man is supposed to provide for a woman. Like I said, and it was kind of like something that I was interested in because, like I said with Jen, I provided Jen with food, a place to shelter. She didn't work. I provided her with companionship and love, and I listened to her and I was affectionate towards her, even though I was never in a committed relationship. But it's like the value of having a wife is profound, like the value of having that intimacy that perhaps couldn't be achieved through a non-marital relationship. And so Z had basically taken what I found to be what I wanted in life was plurality, but also incorporating the deep intimacy of marriage with multiple women. And I thought that was highly interesting, and I was very curious to see how that played out and how that worked. And so was Jennifer. Honestly, she's like, whoa, like multiple wives, really? Wow, that's different. Like we should totally go hang out with him. So we did. So we went to Florida. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust myself.
You're fine.
My knees.
And you said you were kind of interested to see how it played out.
Basically, we're talking about social dynamic of a circumstance like that, which I think is really where most people go with that. When they hear about polygamy, most individuals will question the social dynamic of such relationship, and how does that work? What is the social dynamic between the women and the social dynamic between the women and the women and the men? I mean, you can see these types of shows. There's shows on television now that promote polygamy and
Like Sister Wives?
like Sister Wives. Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of like to see a firsthand perspective of that, of somebody who's really living like that. I thought was highly interesting. I was very interested in what these
Okay.
women had to say and what they were about.
Okay.
So was Jennifer.
Tell me, you said you were interested to hear what the women had to say and what they
Yeah,
were.
well, yeah, I was just curious how they interacted with each other.
Okay.
You know, so.
From May of 2020, when you said that you and Jennifer went to Florida and started spending time with them, how
That's
much
right.
time did you spend with Z and the three women from May until December of 2020?
Oh, well, there was a lot. I mean, so I went to go see them in May, and then I broke up with Jennifer. I broke it off with Jennifer over the summer, so she actually never saw them again.
Okay.
And then I stayed in Connecticut at Z's parents' house at the Joyce home in Connecticut in September for, I think I was there for about a little over 2 weeks.
Tell me about his parents. What do you know about them?
Oh, I love the Joyces. They're good. Mike Joyce is great. He's a good man. You know, they're essentially Michelle Joyce is a very they're very powerful people. Like even they're like really intelligent. They're highly intelligent people, highly well spoken about their traditions and values, and they're very warm and open and welcoming folks. Like,
Are they, his biological parents, still married?
yes, they
Do you
are.
know what they do for a living?
Michelle sells real estate, and Mike works at a factory.
Works at a factory?
Like a machine shop.
Okay. So you said you went to Connecticut and you stayed at his parents' house?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And how much time did you spend at his parents' house?
Like I said, I was there for a little over 2 weeks, I think.
Okay. Was he there with the three women as well?
Kawani and Gamliano were staying there, and Shaylee was there sometimes, but her parents also live in Connecticut, so she was at her parents' some too.
Okay, so Shaylig's parents are from Connecticut as well?
Yeah, they live like, I don't know, it's like 45 minutes down the road in Southbury.
Okay, so Gami and Kawani and Z and you spent time at his
Yeah,
parents' house?
we sure did.
While Shaylig spent time with her family?
Yeah, I was sleeping in my van. Again, I had a van that I stayed in.
Okay.
And so I was sleeping in the driveway in the van.
And was it, from your observations, was it common for these women to go spend time with their families outside of their relationship with Z?
I mean, if they wanted to.
Okay.
I don't think, I didn't really get the feeling that Kawani or Gamliano were very...
Well, we're hitting the pause button on this testimony.
So that's another thing we have about his testimony and all that stuff. We're going to go back over here to trial day 3. With this situation, it brings up the question, what do you think? Does the cult play a bigger part in this than what you believe? In my opinion, depending on how this cult was run, it can lead to someone snapping and going crazy and thinking that's the only way out. Maybe they'll bring up more about the cult in later, later testimony, more about who the man is, who the other wives are, like what is the dynamic with it all. Would love to hear from the lady that they were talking about, but haven't, the one who left the guy that was talking, and what she saw, and others saw from the outside. We're going to go back to trial day 3 and listen to more of the situation where they were in the hospital with her.
Did not survive. Okay? Your baby did not make it. Alright? Your baby is currently getting an autopsy done to find out what actually happened to her body. Okay? You want to ask more questions? No? I'll leave it for you. You can ask me anything you want. Who did that to you? Did your husband do that to you? That's a question? You want to answer? Yeah? Okay. I want to speak to Benjamin Ben Michael and Renee Driver. Okay? We can't let you speak to Benjamin. Okay? Because you have that in there. We can't let you speak to your mom, and your mom said she's coming. Okay? Do you want to speak to her? She's coming here. Do you want to speak to her in person, face to face, or on the phone? In person, face to face. Okay, good. So I've already called your mom and she said she's going to be here tomorrow morning. Okay? She's on her way. You have another question? You cannot speak to Benjamin because I think he did this to you. Can you tell me what you're saying? I don't want anybody to hurt you anymore.
Her heart rate is getting elevated. Take some big deep breaths.
Okay, let me read it. Let me read it. Breathe. I want you to breathe. Breathe. Okay.
Look at me. Breathe. Slow. You're breathing. Look at me.
What's your name? Chloe. Chloe.
Chloe. Look at me. Breathe. Breathe. There you go. There you go. You're doing good. Just breathe. Just breathe. Okay. It was going wonky because her pulse ox is right here, so when she was writing, it was just giving us... No, it's fine. That's why it was alarming. But then she just got worked up.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
You want me to read it? He didn't do it. I did. I was going insane and no longer wanted to be with his friends, but kept coming back for him. I only wanted my baby and husband, but he refused. Who are his friends? Who are they? Do you know their names? Help me. You don't want to? Okay. Okay? Okay. We're stopping. That's it. No more. I don't want to hear someone. I don't want to call him and get you worked up. Okay? You're already worked up. I can see it. Listen to me. I'm coming tomorrow again. Can we call tomorrow? Okay? He can't come here because they won't let him. Because of COVID, nobody can come in this hospital. So when you switch roles, then people can visit you, okay? But nobody can come in here. Only law enforcement can come in here. Nobody else. They're not letting anybody into this hospital. It's a major COVID center, okay? Listen, tomorrow they may move you to a new room. You may be out of the ICU, okay? And then at that point, how about we call him now? You want to do that? Tomorrow? What time? What time do you wake up? Okay, that's okay. What about 9:30 a.m.? Good? You want me to set a date with you? 9:30 a.m. That's good? Good. I don't want to get you worked up anymore. Okay? No more working up. Okay? I want you to breathe. Alright? And again, I'm Detective Cruz. I'm here for you, okay? Immediately, she did suffer. Immediately, she did not suffer before she left the house. Okay? Breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay? That is for your family to decide, okay? When you get better, your family wants to take her to Knoxville. I know. Okay? Benjamin wants her body too. He said so. Okay? You want Benjamin to have her body? He can't come here and talk. Tomorrow he can't come and talk. They won't let him come to this hospital. I don't know if they're transferring me from here. I have to ask, okay? And I know, but we call him tomorrow, okay? I'm gonna get his phone number and everything like that. He doesn't have your phone. Yes, okay? But I can't bring it here.
Okay, so I also found this other article over here that I'm going to share because they actually, I think, play the 911 call here. It says, frantic 911 call made after the fatal stabbing of 1-year-old girl played in Georgia courtroom Wednesday during accused child killer Chloe Driver's murder trial. As the Crime Online previously reported, Driver 24 is currently on trial in Cherokee County for the murder of her daughter, Hannah. The toddler died in December of 2020 while she was visiting a home with Driver, her father, and his 2 other wives. While Driver acknowledged that she killed the toddler and wrote letters confessing to the crime, she's entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Driver is facing multiple charges, including felony murder with malice, cruelty to children, aggravated battery, and aggravated assault. Driver, who was 20 years old at the time when she killed her daughter, met her husband, Brian Joyce, when she was 17 and he was 38. During the opening statements on Tuesday, the state disclosed that the 3 wives and their husband engaged in alternate healing practices, including drinking their own urine and using sensory deprivation. This is some weird stuff. Man, they be drinking their own pee. Also, hey, D-Misso. And thank you for coming in, Daisy. Let me go ahead and play this right quick. We're going to play it.
Jessica, what's the mother's name? Chloe. The mother's name is Chloe? Yeah. How old is the baby? I don't know. Jessica, what's your phone number? 757 39 992-6370. Where's the 9? I don't know that there is one. Okay, so what's going on with the baby? Hold on, let me see. Jessica, I need you to tell me what's going on. Jessica. Is she breathing? Is she breathing? I don't know that she's breathing. Where is the knife? I don't know. I think it's upstairs. Okay. Where is the mother at? I believe upstairs. Where's the baby? I believe upstairs as well. The mother is with the baby? I'm so sorry. Yes. Is there anybody else there with them? Yes, the father and then the mother. What's the location? What's the address? I'm going to 215. Who just killed the baby? I'm the mother. Please come quick. What's the address? Vista Boulevard. Vista Boulevard. How did she kill her baby? I don't know, and I... Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you know who this lady is? Sorry, just come quickly. She still has the knife? Sorry, what? She still has the knife? No, it's across the room. It's okay. Okay. Just please come quickly. I've got everybody on the way out there, okay? She's 13-month-old baby? Oh my God. Is she breathing? No, I don't think so. She looks dead. On the cot, I think she's dead. Just come quickly, please. They're coming as fast as they can. What is your name? My name's Sarah. Okay, Sarah. What's your last name?
So far, that's what we have. They believed they had a higher conscience than the rest of the world and lived a nomadic lifestyle without strong roots anywhere, the prosecution said. One of the 911 calls was then played in court, made by Jessica, the second wife in the group. I think a baby just died. I think a woman is responsible for it, she said. I don't believe she's breathing. I believe she was slit across the throat. While responding to a 911 call, police discovered Driver and Hannah in an upstairs bedroom of the home with stab wounds. The defense said she experienced a psychotic episode at the time of her daughter's death, marked by paranoia, delusion, hallucinations, and disordered thinking. The prosecution said prosecutors claimed that Driver understood the wrongfulness of her actions, adding that she made incriminating search inquiries weeks before the killing. Driver allegedly grabbed a knife from the kitchen and walked up to the bedroom where she locked the door before stabbing the baby and then stabbing her own self in the neck. The prosecutor stated that Hannah had been stabbed 4 times in the neck and once in the back. The trial continues. Check back for updates because obviously this trial is still going on. I'm not going to play any of this yet. So, right now they're on break for it and whatnot. There's still some stuff showing. My question for me is, did this mother do this because of her wanting. They stated that she wanted to um, be with the father by herself. And so that's why she ultimately unalived her baby. There was she was jealous of the other women, blah blah blah. Let me make sure that I did drop the link to this. So if anybody wants to come up and talk about this specific case, where did there we go. Copy. Let me go over here and paste this. And let me pin this. All right. So the link is pinned if anybody wants to come up and talk about the situation of what they've seen so far. That's a crazy situation. That is a good morning to Hood Table. Good morning, everybody. So we were catching up on that case. Now we do have another case in Hawaii. It's Dixie Denise Villa, the baby Mutterson manslaughter trial. But I thought this one right here was a little more crazy because think about it. Not only does it involve an innocent little child and a mother having possible psychosis, but it also involves a cult. um like, what was she going through while being in this cult? Does that give her, like, did she technically have a psychotic break because of the cult? Was she just already crazy? Like, there's so much to it, right? Ultimately, this case is just crazy all around. What do your thought processes so far on this situation? You know, good morning, TSW. This situation with and everybody that's come in or came in or hit the like button, share all those nice things. Thank you so very much. If you feel like blessing the platform, the Hood Table did drop the Cash App. It is Charlie Ann 87. Um, this situation is sad, in my opinion. I hate to see any child pass away based on someone else's actions, and this child didn't stand a chance. It was already passed away by the time that anybody could get to it. Um, and they said, here's my question to the cult, right? If you had already noticed her having problems and psychotic issues, why would you then leave her leave her in care of children? Is it because y'all didn't really care? Like, the dude who you know, have a blessed day, beautiful. Also, everybody please say a prayer for the Hood Table, for her loss. She's getting ready to go to her aunt's service. Please make sure y'all say a prayer for her and her family. I'm going to go ahead and bow my head right now and do so. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we pray for the Hood Table's family. And we pray that today, with the loss, that they find peace and the strength to deal with this situation. And please make sure that the Hood Table has safe travels to and from, and that the entire family is covered in your arms. In your name we pray. Amen. Love you, girl. Make sure you be safe out there. And if you need me, you know you can hit me up at any time. But so far, that's the situation we have with that. With that trial and everything else, it's still ongoing. Hopefully, they'll come out with a little more testimony on. I would love to hear from some more of the other cult members. And see what their things are for today, what they're thinking and everything else. Much love to you, the Hood Table beautiful. Be safe out there. And send my love and condolences. But that situation to me is really crazy. That's a lot to have to deal with as a person, to hear the 911 calls, to look at that beautiful baby's face, to hear that this mother really couldn't care less about the child in a way. I do have to make the scene right quick, y'all, for the guest banner, just in case somebody decides to come up, because yeah, I didn't make it, so I gotta make that that a thing. Let me make sure that it's set up right. There we go. So that if a guest does want to come up, I already have it set up and it's straight. All right. Let me go back to my regular one. I have it set up. I have it set up. So if anybody wants to come up and talk about that situation, that is an ongoing court case. So we're going to say a prayer right now for that little baby too, and that we hope that that baby finds peace, and whatever God deems and the justice system deems should happen in this situation, we hope that the child gets, you know, um, justice in this case, because no innocent child should have to deal with crazy folk. But praying for the family and praying for the baby, because we don't know like how brainwashed she was. We don't know like what the situation goes behind it. I would love to hear more from the father of the child. I hope they bring him to the stand. The other people that were involved. I hope the defense decides to see like more about this cult situation, because it seems like a weird situation in general. And I would like to hear more on that aspect of it. In this one right here, we know that she did it, but was she really in a psychotic break? What happened? What was her thought process? That we do not know. I am going to share the next case we do have until someone decides to come up for this case. So that way, we can keep going and not forget something. So right now I'm going to share that screen. Let me go back to my scenes, y'all. Let me go back to my scenes. All right, so this situation is called, Hawaii versus Dixie Denise Villa, the baby medicine manslaughter trial. This comes out of Honolulu, Hawaii. A Hawaii woman accused in the death of 7-month-old girl is standing trial 5 years later. Dixie Denise Villa is charged with manslaughter for the overdose death of Abigail Lobsky. According to the court documents, an autopsy revealed Lobsky had a fatal amount of diphenhydramine, also known as Benadryl. It was Benadryl in her system. The child was under Villa's care overnight when she died on February 24th, 2019. Villa was allegedly operating an unlicensed daycare at her home at Alia Manu Military Reserve. That word is weird. I don't know how to say it. Lobsky. I guess I don't know. Bloodstream had a level of 2,400 nanograms per milliliter, which is nearly double the amount that has been proven fatal in infants. Outside of the criminal case, Lobsky's parents filed a lawsuit naming 10 defendants, including the United States. The lawsuit claims the defendants' negligence led to Lobsky's death and that the military police had shut the daycare down multiple times before the child died, mostly based on calls placed by neighbors. The girl's mother, Annie Lobsky, told Military Times she wasn't made aware of prior allegations against Villa until the day her daughter died. Villa has been out on bail after posting a $200,000 bond, according to Hawaii News Now. Trial highlights. Closing arguments were heard Wednesday, November the 13th. The prosecution said Dixie Denise Villa gave 7-month-old Abigail Lubchka a fatal dose of Benadryl to rest after a long day. On November the 12th, 2024, the defense's only witness, Okura Akura, I don't even know if I'm saying that right yet, an expert in forensic toxicology, testified that the state's evidence on cause of death being dihydramine toxicity is flawed because the brain was not tested for the presence of dihydramine, which he claims would be more accurately predict the level of drugs in the victim's body. The trial attorney claims that a peripheral blood sample, legs, would be preferred sample. He suggested that mere presence of Benadryl does not offer any conclusive on whether it was coincidental or causal, and that the government did not examine the brain or take a blood sample from the brain. In rebuttal, the state recalled Dr. Gates, who testified that he examined the brain and consulted the toxicology lab for guidance on what additional samples for testing should be sent. The lab recommended a urine sample, which he evidently sent. Dr. Paul Etkin testified that the isn't typically used for children. Benadryl isn't typically used for children under the age of 2. So, like in this situation, the defense only called one witness to rebuttal, this situation. We're going to play, some evidence or some stuff from this trial.
Good morning, Ms. Lobish. My name is Megan Cow. I represent Denise Villa in this matter. I am going to ask you some questions this morning. Please stop me if you need to, okay? Okay. Are you currently married?
No.
Are you in a relationship with somebody named Kai?
Named who?
Irrelevance.
Sustained.
Well, is this the person that brought you to Denise's house on the morning of February 23rd, 2019? 24th, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Please.
Who brought you to Denise's house on the morning of February 24th, 2019?
Nalu.
Is that who your boyfriend right now?
No.
Irrelevance.
Okay, move on. Answer it.
To say that you and James were struggling financially?
I don't recall our financial situation at that time.
You don't remember having a hard time because you were a full-time student?
I was working full-time at that time.
Well, actually, you just got a job offer on December 3rd, 2018, correct?
I don't recall the dates, I'm sorry. I don't recall the exact dates.
Is it possible that you got a job offer on December 3rd, 2018?
Yes.
All right. And so from that point on, you started working Monday through Friday. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you informed Denise that you had just gotten a job, so you started taking the kids to her house on the Monday that you started work, correct?
I don't recall the dates, but that could be accurate.
You were comfortable with her prices for watching the kids, yes?
Yes.
And you were comfortable with paying the additional amounts for watching them outside of Monday through Friday normal business hours, correct?
Yes.
During that time, between December 2018 and February 2019, Denise's house was deemed the safe house between you and James. Is that accurate?
Yes.
The family court, you and James were not supposed to have contact with one another.
Move on, counsel.
This goes to her bringing her kids to Denise's house, Judge.
They found his house a safe house as far as she's concerned, and the husband at the time.
Right.
It's okay, move on.
So you felt comfortable dropping the kids off at Denise's house, yes?
Yes.
And if James needed to drop them off, he would drop them off at Denise's house, correct?
Yes.
You felt comfortable picking them up at Denise's house, yes?
Yes.
I want to ask you about some inconsistencies you made this morning. You did testify that you used, quote, natural remedies on your children. Is that accurate?
Yes.
But isn't it correct that on February 3rd, 2019, when Abigail had a temperature, you asked Denise to give her Tylenol, correct?
Yes.
Denise told you, I think Abigail has a 101 temperature and she's not feeling good, correct?
Yes.
And you said, oh no, not again, right?
I don't recall the exact text messages, but
Okay, but you said, do you mind giving her Tylenol, correct?
yes.
And so based on your request, Denise did, correct?
Yes.
In fact, she took a picture of the bottle and sent it to you, right?
Yes.
And said, is this what you want me to give her? Correct?
Yes.
And you confirmed the dosage, 2.5 milliliters per 500, correct?
Yes.
So she gives it to Abby, yes?
Yes.
And then she follows up with a text message saying she's doing fine, she's in the rocking chair, correct?
Yes.
And you then tell her, oh, the other night I had to give her Tylenol, correct?
Yes.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, this morning you said, Abigail did not sleep in your bed, is that what you said?
She slept in a crib, a sidecar crib.
So your testimony this morning to this jury is that Abigail did not sleep in your bed.
She slept in a sidecar crib next to my bed.
So during this investigation, you did speak with the police officers, yes?
Yes, I did.
On February 24th, 2019, you met with Detective Kyle, yes?
Yes.
And he told you, I'm going to ask you some questions, right?
Yes.
And he said, I'm going to record this conversation, yes?
Yes.
And you were comfortable with that, right?
Yes.
You were trying to give the detectives all the information possible, correct?
Yes.
During that statement, you said, I co-sleep with Abigail. Yes? Yes?
Yes.
She sleeps with me in the bed, you said. Yes?
I don't recall saying that, but if that's what I said.
Quote, she's always next to me, end quote. Yes?
In the sidecar crib is right next to the bed.
Is that your testimony this morning, Miss Lobish?
I'm sorry.
Is that your testimony this morning?
That what I'm sorry, what was the question? Is it
On February 24th, 2019, you did give the statement to Detective Kyle, yes?
Yes, I did.
And during that interview, you specifically told him that you co-sleep with Abigail, correct?
Co-sleeping is also when they're in the crib next to the bed. It's still considered the same thing, like co-sleeping in the same room.
You said she sleeps in the same bed with me, yes?
I don't recall saying that. I'm
Only-
sorry.
Sustain. Repeat the question. Rephrase.
Would looking at your transcript help you to remember what you told this detective?
Yes.
Go ahead and take that binder next to you, flip to Exhibit B, and on the bottom you'll see numbers 303.
All right, while she takes a look at that binder, finally an objection, right, from prosecutors. during this tough cross-examination. What do you think about the cross? Let us know on social media. We read your comments. We're going to take a short break right now while she is looking through that binder at her previous testimony. We'll get you back to Hawaii when we come back. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice. Indiana, where the Delphi murders trial, this jury has now been deliberating nearly 5 hours in this weeks-long trial that took years to get here. Everything on the line for Richard Allen. Will he be found guilty? As soon as there's any movement in that courtroom, we have a full team there, including our producer, Barbara McDonald, that's been in the courtroom. We will bring you any updates as soon as 20 years to life behind bars if convicted. Right now, we are listening to the cross-examination of Dixie Denise Villa is accused in the overdose death of little baby Abby. She told police that she fell asleep with the children and then she woke up and the baby was cold to the touch and had splotchy skin. So this defendant faces 20 years to life behind bars if convicted. Right now, we are listening to the cross-examination of baby Abby's mom, Anna Lobish. Let's get you back to court.
All right, so during direct examination, when Ms. Ka'eo was asking you questions, you said you stopped breastfeeding because your supply had dried up, correct?
Yes.
And you don't remember when your supply had dried up. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact time.
But you're sure that you were only giving Denise your breast milk in November or December of 2018. Is that accurate?
From what I recall.
You're sure you were not bringing breast milk to her in February of 2019?
I don't recall bringing her breast milk during that time.
And when you would bring the breast milk, it would be in small rectangular bags, correct?
Yes.
That they would need to put in the fridge or the freezer, yes?
Yes.
Isn't it correct that you told Ariana Rivera that you were bringing breast milk for Abigail?
I don't recall saying that.
Would looking at a direct message between you and Anna Kalehua help you to remember that?
I guess so.
Go ahead and turn to Exhibit O. And just for efficiency's sake, could you just turn to the last page, please? Okay, hold on. There's no question pending.
Okay, sorry.
Before we start, who is Anna Kalehua?
Kalehua is my friend.
Oh, is she here today? Sitting in this courtroom?
She is.
Could you please point to her and describe what she's wearing?
So stay, move on, counsel.
You had a conversation with her, yes?
Yes.
This is the conversation, correct?
Yes.
And you told Ariana Rivera that you were bringing breast milk for Abigail, yes?
I don't recall having that conversation with her, but it's here, so.
You agree you talked about it, yes?
I agree I talked about it with Kalei, yes.
Okay. Now, in addition, after Abigail passed away, you donated a huge supply of breast milk, correct?
Yes.
Did you tell Detective Kyle that you did that?
No. Not that I recall.
And during this time, February of 2019, you yourself were taking Tylenol PM. Is that accurate?
I don't recall what I was taking at that time.
Okay. I'll direct you to page 1 of Exhibit O.
Okay.
This conversation between you and Calais, you are expressing your concern because you were taking Tylenol PM, yes?
I don't recall if I was taking Tylenol PM.
On direct examination this morning, you said it was not normal for Abby to sleep a lot. Is that accurate?
During the day.
It was not normal for Abby to sleep a lot during the day. Is that what you testified to?
Yes.
Okay. You did give a statement to KITV on February 24th, 2020, yes? News, you could see your face as you talked, yes?
Yes.
You said, when asked about Abigail, she was a happy, joyful baby who, quote, rarely really cried. She slept a lot, end quote, yes?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about why you needed Denise to watch the kids during the weekend of February 23rd, 2019. This morning, you testified it was because you were in school, you had exams coming up, and you needed a break. Is that accurate?
Yes.
On February 21st, 2019, you told Denise it's because you have an exam at 1 p.m. on February 23rd, 2019. Yes?
Yes.
In another text, you told Denise it was because you have 3 finals and because James has guard. Correct?
Yes.
You also told her that you have a class in the morning at 10:30, but you can push it, correct?
Yes.
You didn't tell her that that was a kickboxing class, right?
I don't recall exactly what I told her.
During your February 24th, 2019 statement to Detective Kyle, you said it was because you had homework and you needed to get stuff done. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yet on February 18th, 2019, you had a direct message conversation with Denise, and you told her it's because you and James had just had a fight and you need someone to watch the kids for the weekend, correct?
I don't recall that text message.
You said, can I bring the kids Friday? James found the pregnancy test and beat me up again. I need someone to keep them for the weekend. Yes?
Yeah.
Denise actually says, I can't take them. I have plans for the weekend. Correct?
I don't recall the exact conversation.
You say, I'll pay extra. I really want to spend the weekend with Kai. Yes?
Yes.
Now, did you ever consider telling Detective Kyle that you have this huge supply of breast milk that can be tested?
No.
Didn't even think about it. You're shaking your head no. Is that a no?
No, I didn't think about it.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Redirect.
Anna.
Some water, please. Oh, you have. Right here.
When did you leave Queens?
I think it was November 2018, I think.
Okay. And then when did you start with Orthopedic Associates?
I don't remember the exact date that I started.
Did you leave Queens while you were still on maternity?
I had just finished maternity.
So it's safe to say you finished maternity, went back to Queens, and then left there.
Yeah.
And then you got a new job.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did the new job pay the same as what you got at Queens?
I think it was like $1 or $2 less per hour.
How are you funding college?
I had a GI Bill at the time.
How would you describe your financial situation?
I don't recall exactly what it was. We were transitioning. I was transitioning between a job, so I'm pretty sure at that time I got the GI Bill benefits, and then they would pay me monthly to be in school. So that helped supplement.
Now, Ms. Kyle was asking you a lot about this co-sleeping. Do you recall talking to Detective Kyle about the co-sleeping?
I don't recall exactly what I said.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 42. I'm going to direct your page to page 6, which also has 303 at the bottom. Please take a look at lines 1 through 6.
Okay.
Okay. Do you recall having a conversation?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take that back. What were you telling Detective Kyle about the co-sleeping?
I'm sorry, can I say that? I was explaining that I co-sleep with her and she's always next to me.
Okay.
Which was in my statement.
Okay. And when you say she's always next to you, what were you talking about?
She's in the crib next to me.
So now when I'm talking about this crib, is there space between the bed and the crib?
No, it's attached to the bed. It's called a sidecar. You sidecar the crib and then you remove like the front of the crib and you sidecar it to the bed. It's attached to it.
Okay. Now when you talked about co-sleeping, is that what you meant?
Yes. Co-sleeping is it's a broad term.
Okay. So when other people talk about co-sleeping, sometimes they're referring to someone like your child sleeping right next to you on a physical, say, queen-size mattress.
Objection, speculation.
Rephrase.
How have you heard the term co-sleeping used before?
From other parents and the way that I was raised.
Okay. What are some examples of co-sleeping that you're aware of?
Co-sleeping is the child is in the room with you, co-sleeping. That would be what it falls under.
Okay. Can it also be sharing a bed?
That would be bed sharing. So it's two different terms.
Okay. So when Abby was a baby, did you bed share?
No.
Why not?
It didn't feel safe.
What's not safe about it?
A lot of things. You can roll over on your children. They could get wrapped up in things.
Why is it important for you to use the sidecar to take care of Abby at night?
For responsiveness, so you can respond when your baby needs you.
Now let's go to the week that you were asking for childcare. From the 21st, you started asking if the defendant can watch the kids.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Cowell said there were different versions of why you needed to watch the kids. Are they all truth or lie?
They're all the truth.
What do you mean?
All of the reasons that I had given were the truth as to why I needed childcare or a babysitter.
Okay. So why did you need a babysitter?
I had exams coming up. I needed self-care. I needed support. I went out to dinner. It all falls under the same question.
Who did you go to dinner with?
Nalu is his name.
Okay. And Nalu is the father of your youngest child?
Yeah.
The class that Ms. Cowell was referring to at 10:30, was that an academic class or an athletic class?
It was a self-defense class. Like kickboxing and things like that.
Okay, where were you taking that class?
It was on the beach on Caymanas.
Okay. And as it came up, there was an incident between you and James. Is that right?
Yes.
A physical one?
Yes.
That was another reason you needed care for the kids?
Yes.
The exam that you had on 1 o'clock on that date, what date was that?
The 23rd.
What was that 1 o'clock exam?
HPD.
What were you trying to do?
Become a police officer.
Okay. Your breast milk. Did you have a lot of breast milk?
I did.
Where would you store your breast milk?
In a freezer. At the time, we had a house that had like a basement kind of, and we would store it in the deep freezer down there.
After Abby passed, how is it that you had so much breast milk left?
I was an oversupplier, and I stopped giving her the breast milk, so I had excess.
And what did you do with it?
I donated it. There's pages, and there's also organizations that will take breast milk for mothers that want to continue giving breast milk to their babies, but they can't produce it. So I donated it.
In the weeks leading up to Abby's death, had you been giving her breast milk?
No.
Had you been sending any breast milk to the defendant's house?
No.
So when you're asked about a text message to Ariane involving you telling Ariane about breast milk, what is that about?
I don't recall. There was no dates, so I don't recall when that was for. I'm not too sure. I may have misunderstood, or not misunderstood, but I may have said BM instead of formula. It could have been like a simple mistake.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
Ready, Cross?
You're talking to Clay about the fact that you're concerned you took Tylenol PM and stuff like that. Yes?
Objection. Form of the question. Argumentative.
Overrule if you understand the question, couldn't answer. If not, ask her to rephrase the question.
Sorry, if you could rephrase that.
Sure. You're testifying to this jury that you mixed up BM, meaning breast milk, with the word formula. That's your testimony, yes?
Yes.
Miss Lobish, have you read this direct message?
I have, yes.
So you understand its contents?
I do.
You know the person you're speaking to, Kale, who's in this room today, right?
Yes.
You're talking about the concern that you have because you were taking Tylenol PM and stuff like that. And you were telling her you were concerned about it being in your breast milk. Correct?
Yeah.
She even tells you, go and delete the breastfeeding picture that you posted. Go delete it. Right?
A lot of people were.
No. Is that what she said?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
You respond to her. You guys are talking about keeping the story straight about formula versus breast milk, correct?
Sorry, can I take a break?
Let's take a break.
I just need
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short recess here. Please do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anybody.
And we're going to ask the court to order the witness not to talk to anyone about
Of
her
course.
testimony.
Do not talk.
I won't.
Ms. Prosecutor, just make sure that doesn't happen. All right, recess. Mr. Terramay?
Not that she would anyway, but they were pointing at someone in the gallery, which she tried to have this witness identify earlier during her testimony,
not a
and
good
now
look.
we know why.
All respect to this mother, of course, for losing
Yes.
her child, but that's not a good look when you are being crossed about trying to cover things up after the
What
fact.
it appears as a cover-up.
And then she says, I need to take a break instead of facing the question and answering them. It doesn't look good in front of a jury.
Let's bring in our guest joining us this hour, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, attorney Matthew.
And that she thought, and the person she was texting thought that could come back to harm her. And there's talk of
You, correct? That they could, correct?
Testimony once Anna Lobish has now come back to the stand.
Okay, Miss Lobish. Your friend Colette is telling you to stick to the story of formula, correct?
That's what it says here.
You express your concern that they could test the breast milk that you donated, yes?
Yes.
And that they'll try to use it against you, correct?
Yes.
Colette even encourages you and says, make sure the DA, meaning the district attorney, is sticking with the story, correct?
Hold on a minute. Excuse me there.
Oh, Judge, we already talked about it, media.
I asked your bailiff, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We don't have a photographer.
All right.
So your friend Colette encourages you to make sure the DA, the district attorney, is sticking with the story, correct?
Yes.
So, to be clear, BM in your message means breast milk, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
And we redirect.
No.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Lopez, thank you. You're done. Just leave everything there.
Hey, Miss Catherine, is that you?
Sorry.
Oh, hey, there you are.
Okay, could you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you well.
I'm trying to type in the back chat. It's not about allowing me to do that. That's kind of funny because I know somebody else that has this, right?
Yeah.
And they're not having the problems that you have. I don't know what to try.
I don't know.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's there goes kicking people out. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, Miss Catherine. It did the same thing yesterday to Jay Dunn. I don't know why it's kicking people out when they try to join. It did the same thing to Miss I mean to Jay Dunn the other day. So I don't know. I may have to look into the settings. Uh Let me go to this. My dog's steadily rubbing his head on my computer, y'all. Are you there, Miss Catherine?
It keeps like kicking me out and bringing me back. Anyway, yeah, I know somebody uh that has signed up for Restream, and they don't. I think what they're doing is the test run that they allow you is not as worked out as
Yeah, the test run
right.
thing. And
Yeah, it doesn't seem
yeah,
to
so
work.
I'm just using the free version right
Yeah, so I think what's going on is because it's the free version, the kinks are not worked out.
So basically I should try the test run version and see if that works better.
There are other apps that you can upload too, like KindMaster. There's a couple of them, but try those too, and then see which one works best.
So
'Cause
far
it's
the
not
reason
allowing me to.
I came back to this
Oh,
one
go ahead.
because the other ones are just yeah.
Yeah, did you try the KindMaster? KINEMASTR. KindMaster. That's
Yeah, I'm
one too.
actually looking at this one right now. I'll probably try that one tomorrow with my streams and see how it works.
Yeah, because this one doesn't appear to let you type in the back chat. It'll let you see. I can see the chat that I was typing in, but I don't see like you in StreamYard you can type in the back chat. In this one it doesn't let you see that. So I'm not sure if that's a feature you have. It doesn't appear to be that that's a feature that you should have to pay for because with StreamYard you could do it. So yeah, but I'm gonna drop down because it interrupted your feed, so I'm gonna drop back down.
All right, thank you.
I'll
Thank
be in.
you so much. Beautiful. I am going to try a new one tomorrow and see because this one doesn't seem to be letting guests up and let them stay up. It seems to be kicking people out.
Yeah, I'll be in the chat.
Thank you, Miss Catherine.
All right, bye bye.
Bye. So yeah, that's the information we have on that right quick. I'm gonna see if we can see any more information right quick. I am going to try to work out the StreamYard and all this other stuff. I am so sorry to anybody who has tried to come up, and this is just not letting people come up. So I am going to try different stream avenues and see which one works best. So far, StreamYard is winning, even though they're more expensive because they seem to have no issues, right? But we're going to switch over to this tab so that we could, get all the information in one area. And so when we come back to this situation, as the trial progresses, possibly we can, you know, have this stuff situated and figure out what goes on and all these lovely things.
Amount of diphenhydramine in her system. This is the ingredient commonly sold as Benadryl. Let's get you back into the courtroom now for more unseen footage from Tuesday.
And how long would you tell someone to monitor the child?
I mean, in consultation with like the toxicology hotline, the Hawaii Poison Control, typically if there's a suspicion of a possible toxic ingestion, the most common monitoring period would be 4 to 6 hours.
Were there any cases where diphenhydramine stayed in an infant system for more than 10 hours before symptoms presented?
From my review of the literature, I did not see that from oral administration of diphenhydramine. There was a case report of toxicity from topical diphenhydramine that was given to a 17-month-old over the course of several days.
We'll come back to the topical diphenhydramine. How long does the poison control guidelines recommend that a child be placed under observation for the diphenhydramine toxicity?
I think 4 to 6 hours is a safe estimate.
Okay. And if the child exhibits no symptoms after 6 hours, is there any further recommendation?
Generally, the patient could be discharged home from the emergency department if there's no symptoms at all that have appeared.
Now, if you were to recommend diphenhydramine for an infant, how much would be appropriate?
So as I mentioned, before, I don't typically prescribe it. In general, the dose the dose is 1.25 milligrams per kilogram per dose. So say if a patient was 10 kilograms, it'd be 12.5 milligrams, which is the amount contained in 5 mLs of the liquid.
And what blood concentration would you be aiming for with a dose like that?
So we don't typically think of blood concentrations just because it's there is a lab that we can order for diphenhydramine level, although it doesn't come back very quickly, so it's not useful therapeutically. But I think most from the literature, a single dose of diphenhydramine, the therapeutic level that you would be achieved would probably be between 60 to 80 nanograms per ml.
And would that be appropriate for an infant?
That would be, from the studies and for the, that would be appropriate, yeah.
How does the weight of the infant affect your dosage?
So for pediatrics in general, we always dose based on weight, just because that gives you the most accurate dosing. If you look at age-based dosing, there's a wide range of how big a child is. A 3-year-old can be 15 kilograms, and a 3-year-old could be 15 kilograms. They could be 10 kilograms, so it's a big range. So we always use weight-based dosing.
And do you do that for other drugs as well?
Yes, we do it for basically all medications in pediatrics.
Okay, so what is the normal dose of diphenhydramine for infants? If there is one.
If there is one? It would be around 1.25 milligrams per kilogram. So for an infant, I think most doctors would typically give about 6.25 milligrams, which was given in the study.
And how would you administer that?
It's typically given orally as a liquid preparation.
Is there any way, just from a blood sample, of determining when diphenhydramine was given to an infant or child?
Not in my understanding, no.
Is there any way to determine solely from the blood sample how many doses of a drug were given?
No, not to my understanding.
If the therapeutic blood concentration is 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter, how many times greater than the therapeutic dose is the oral dose needed to get to a concentration of 2,400 nanograms per milliliter?
So I think if someone just does simple math, to reach that level of 2,400 nanograms per ml, you'd have to take a dose of 30 to 40, I believe, would be the calculation.
30 to 40
times the oral. So say if the dose was 5 mLs, it'd be 30 times that much.
Given the linear nature of diphenhydramine concentration, basically if you give double the dose, you get double the blood concentration. How much diphenhydramine would you have to give someone to get to 2,400 nanograms per milliliter?
as mentioned, be about 30 times the usual oral dose, would be my understanding.
Given the timeline for diphenhydramine toxicity and its symptoms, would you expect to see symptoms if a child had 2,400 nanograms per milliliter of blood concentration in their blood?
Yes, you would see some symptoms.
How far above fatal concentration of diphenhydramine is that 2,400 nanograms per milliliter in an infant?
So from my review of the literature, there's a case report. I think there was 5 infants, and their blood levels were all around the 1,000 nanogram per ml range. So that's over twice that. And those are infants that had passed away.
And that's from a study?
Yes.
When we talk about studies, is there a reason why the studies don't have many infants involved in those studies in diphenhydramine?
I mean, basically, you're not going to study that because we typically don't use it below the age of 2. So you're not going to give it to infants and then study it, typically.
And why would that not be a good idea?
I mean, just because harmful side effects.
So when you review literature about the effects of diphenhydramine on infants, it would be through case studies?
Yes.
Okay. If a fatal dose of diphenhydramine was given to an infant before 10:45 a.m., when would you expect symptoms of diphenhydramine toxicity to onset?
I mean, based on the literature, I really think you would see some symptoms within half an hour. So I guess 11:15, 11:30.
Is it medically reasonable to believe that a fatal dose of diphenhydramine before 10:45 a.m. and exhibit no symptoms of diphenhydramine toxicity for more than 10 hours?
From my review of the literature, no, that would not be expected.
And I want to go back to the topical part. You mentioned that the studies that you were looking at were oral. With respect to topical diphenhydramine, what would be an appropriate reason to give topical diphenhydramine on an infant?
I mean, it's not really recommended below the age of 2. It's basically used for like itchy skin, rash, kind of allergic reaction.
So regardless of whether it's oral or topical, the suggested the guideline still recommends not for under 2.
Correct.
Now, with respect to the use of topical diphenhydramine, what examples of skin issues would you recommend that for if you recommended it?
It would be like allergic reactions, hives, things like that. But typically, if someone says to use it on your skin, then we would say don't use it by mouth. It's it's either or. We wouldn't recommend doing both at the same time.
And do we know anything? Does the literature tell us anything about how many times someone would have to apply a topical diphenhydramine, create tox?
I think the only applied several times over the course of several days.
And for that child in that study that used topical diphenhydramine, do you recall how old that child was?
I believe they're 17 months old.
And how many times had that child been applied topical diphenhydramine?
I can't offhand. It's a little hard to recall, but I think several times a day.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. Cole.
Good morning, Dr. Aiken.
Morning.
We've never met in person, yeah?
Correct.
I'm Megan Cow. I represent Denise Villa in this matter. But we did talk by phone, yes?
Yes.
My office emailed you and we set up an appointment and you spoke with me for about half an hour?
Yes.
Thank you. So you have a DEA license, yes?
Yes.
What is a DEA license?
So that's from the Drug Enforcement Agency. Basically, gives you the ability to grab certain medications.
And You also currently hold a certificate of registration for controlled substances, correct?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So that's kind of the similar as the DA, but from the state level.
You don't need those certifications to treat a patient with diphenhydramine, correct?
Guys, I don't know what's going on, but we're having issues. I don't know if you can hear me, but something's going on here. Let me refresh this screen. Okay. I don't know what's going on, y'all. I just literally did something weird.
And how long would you tell someone to monitor the child?
30.
Is it medically reasonable to believe that an infant could be given a fatal dose of diphenhydramine before 10:45 a.m. and exhibit no oral or topical?
I don't recommend doing both at the same time.
Okay, so I don't know what just happened, y'all. Can you hear me? Let's see. I have no idea what just happened. Yeah. We're gonna continue on. I don't know what just happened, but anyway.
And do we know anything? Does the literature tell us anything about how many times you have to apply a topical to create toxic effects?
I think the only, you could draw some information from the case report, or I think it was applied several times over the course of several days.
And for that child in that study called diphenhydramine, do you recall how old that child was?
I believe they're 17 months old.
And how many times had that child been applied topical diphenhydramine?
I can't, offhand, it's a little hard to recall, but I think several times a day.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all right, Ms. Carl Cross.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. I'm sorry, Dr.
So that's from the Drug Enforcement Agency. Basically, gives you the ability to prescribe certain medications.
You also currently hold a certificate of registered substances, correct?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So that's kind of the as the DA, but from the state level.
You don't need those diphenhydramine, correct?
Correct.
You don't need a prescription for diphenhydramine, correct?
Correct.
In other words, anybody can walk into a Walgreens or Long's, say diphenhydramine, yes?
Yes.
Did rely on several
Guys, I don't know what's going on, but we are going to watch more of this on another date. Right now, something's going on with the screen share and all that good, lovely stuff. So I'm going to stop all that. My picture's gone, as you can tell. You know, whatever's going on. But I am going to try a new streaming service soon because I heard that, Miss Catherine said it kept kicking her, it kept kicking Jay Dunn. So I am going to try that. It's really upsetting that things are not working out the way I want to today. It just seems like today is like, no, Charlie, you cannot have a stream today. It's not going to happen for you. So yeah, we're having that issue. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to look more into this topic the more that it comes on. But for right now, I'm going to tell y'all to have a good day out on these streets. I'm going to see who's live like I normally do. Hopefully y'all can see me and hear me and everything's okay. Because it's just weird for me. Restream is acting just a little bit reflected today. So they are still doing the Georgia versus Chloe Driver day 3 of the Colt Baby murder trial over there on Court TV if you want to go watch that. We have Just Krista is live, Creole Butterfly is live, Lyman Law and Crime Network, The Good Putty Cat, Lucky, the most hated blogger, King Rockwell is live. So that's what we have going on right now. Sorry about that. My dogs are barking. But that's the situation we have going on right now. I'm looking to see what's going on. But right now I am trying these different sites and things for our people. And so far, yeah, StreamYard may be expensive, but it seems like they're the best. Wish they gave you more time, and everything and more stuff. Thank you, TSW. And yeah, Miss Just Krista is live, y'all. That's what I see going on right now. Just Krista's live, and her title is "Let's Try This." Fingers crossed. I want to talk some stuff. So I'm going to copy her link and post it here in the chat. I am going to try different streaming apparatus and hopefully we'll find, some good one. But so far, with the situation at hand, StreamYard's still winning, y'all. I thought Restream would be amazing. Now, they did say if you update your Restream and buy it, it's better and it acts better or something. But for me, for some reason, I just keep having problems with it. So, I don't know what's going on. But I will say that I hope you all have an amazing day. I'm going to go ahead and play this outro. We'll go over there and visit Just Krista, and we'll keep an eye on these trials, and hopefully we'll be able to have a conversation about it. I'm kind of disheartened today because of the stuff not wanting to work right and everything. I hope you all have a blessed and amazing day, and thank you for allowing me to bless your screens today.
I'm from the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show. From the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go. From the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show. From the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go.
I'm from the west side, we don't need no introduction, this was the best ride. We all big boy rolling and holding, come take a test drive. Hilldale, Evergreen, Glenkirk, Adder Street, bending every corner on the west, and that's where I'll be. Sunroof back, Captain C banging down 1800, chunking up the deuce to my post slanging down on 1800. Show no love to them ladies that's training round on 1800, making time stand still, crystal and swinging down on 1800. Watching out for them knuckleheads that be stanging round on 1800. Big rims and low pros be blanging round on 1800. Better completely change the way you're thinking about round 1800. Really hate to see you boys get left slanking around 1800. Out the street got some history, just let Captain C lay it out. If I don't finish it all on this one, let the second verse break it out. Remember the blue apartments from OG standing back there by 60 deep. Bull walking, Charles Blue, a big Anthony Hughes and Pee.
I'm from the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' I'm from the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show. From the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go. From the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show. From the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go.
I'm from the west side, we don't need no introduction, this was the best ride. We all big boy rolling and holding, come take a test drive. Hilldale, Evergreen, Glenkirk, Adder Street, bending every corner on the west, and that's where I'll be. Sunroof back, Captain C banging down 1800, chunking up the deuce to my post slanging down on 1800. Show no love to them ladies that's training round on 1800, making time stand still, crystal and swinging down on 1800. Watching out for them knuckleheads that be stanging round on 1800. Big rims and low pros be blanging round on 1800. Better completely change the way you're thinking about round 1800. Really hate to see you boys get left slanking around 1800. Out the street got some history, just let Captain C lay it out. If I don't finish it all on this one, let the second verse break it out. Remember the blue apartments from OG standing back there by 60 deep. Bull walking, Charles Blue, a big Anthony Hughes and Pee.
I'm from the T-U-B-E-L-O. I'm reppin'